Hello, I am Staples, and I am one of your friendly neighborhood ROPECRAFT volunteer coordinators, here to talk to you about volunteering. This is just kind of a training and information video for you guys, so hopefully you will find it useful. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for volunteering. ROPECRAFT cannot function without the help of its volunteers, so we are so glad to have you, and we hope that you enjoy your volunteer experience. So in this video, we're going to talk about several things. We're going to talk about the two types of volunteers and the differences between them. We're going to talk about some important staff members and their names and why you need to know who they are. We're going to talk about the schedule. I know everybody's wanting to know what their schedule is and how they make changes if they need to, all that fun stuff. We're going to cover that. We're going to go over some scenarios that you might run into as a volunteer and how you might handle those. We're going to talk about radio etiquette. We're going to talk about some customer service tips and how to be a better volunteer. We're going to talk about some training sessions that are going to be happening at ROPECRAFT, and then a few other final thoughts at the end. So let's get started. So really quickly, I just wanted to remind you guys about the two types of volunteers that there are so that you understand your schedule and why you have the number of hours that you do. If you are a core volunteer, then you have about 12 hours on your schedule, and you could have an hour or two more, probably no more than an extra hour or two on your schedule. And that's because a core volunteer is someone that we've asked to be incredibly flexible with their schedule. We pick the hours for you and put you in the places that we feel we can use you the best. And in exchange for that wonderful flexibility, you get into the con for free. So you were able to register for free. If you have about 8 hours on your schedule, then you're a scheduled volunteer, and that means that you paid $75 to get into the event, so a very reduced price. And in exchange for that, we ask you to work 8 hours. And again, we ask you to be a little bit flexible with that, but we do try to make sure that you're going to get to the classes that you want to go to, that sort of thing. So that's the differences between the two types of volunteers. So that should kind of let you know why your schedule is the way that it is. Okay, now we're going to talk about some important people that you should probably know who they are. And all of these are listed in the program that you're going to get when you get to ROPECRAFT, so don't worry about trying to memorize them. I just want to kind of introduce you to some of the important people that help make ROPECRAFT happen. So first of all, we have Grandmaster David, and he is our producer. He's the reason that ROPECRAFT happens. Without him, ROPECRAFT absolutely does not happen, so we definitely want you to know who he is. Second is our director, and that is Great Answer, also known as our fearless leader. So you'll see him all over the place, and he kind of directs all of the rest of us staff and gives us the resources that we need to help make this con go vroom. Next is Naya, and Naya is the presenter liaison. So she's the one that has been coordinating with all of our wonderful presenters that also help to make this con happen. Making sure that they have what they need for classes and helping organize the class schedule and all of that fun stuff. So that's Naya, our presenter liaison. Next, we have Ozma of Oz, and she is a wearer of a few hats. She's our hotel liaison, so she's been working to make sure that we have what we need at the hotel, all that wonderful stuff. But then also, one of the other things that you'll probably interact with her about is the class survey. And as volunteers, you'll probably get a lot of questions about that from attendees. So if there's a question that you can't answer, then Ozma's going to be the one that can probably answer it, because she's the point of contact for all things class survey. Next is Missy Lane and myself, Staples. We are the volunteer coordinators, so we're the ones that you guys are probably going to interact with the most. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say about us other than you'll see us a lot. Next we have Loch Nessia, and they are the Inclusivity and Accessibility Coordinator for ROPECRAFT. And what that is someone that's been working in the weeks beforehand leading up to the event just to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to make sure everybody has equal access to the event, to make sure that everyone feels welcome, just because we know that there's just such a wide range of people that comes to this event, and we want to make sure that everybody has what they need. So if there's people that need special accommodations in order to be able to attend, Loch Nessia is the person that they would contact, or that we would put them in contact with. That's all leading up to the event. And then at the event, Loch Nessia will be there for people that may have questions or may need some help in that regard. And so they're going to be at the help desk a couple of times each day from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and then from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. each day. And then they'll also be on call. There's actually a really great write-up about the role of the Inclusivity and Accessibility Coordinator on the ROPECRAFT website, and the address should be appearing on the screen right now. So go and check that out if you are curious about that role. Next is Jake Wing, and Jake Wing is our vendor liaison. He's the one that's been working with all of our vendors so that you can do some fun shopping at ROPECRAFT. So if a vendor comes to you and has a question that you don't know the answer, then you can always hop on the radio and call Jake Wing. JP is next, and he's our fixer. And so that just means he literally, that's what he's there for. Is, you know, a lot of times at cons things pop up and that we aren't expecting, and JP is kind of there to keep things running smoothly and to fix the things that maybe we weren't expecting, or maybe we were expecting them. So you'll see him floating around taking care of things in that regard. So next, let's talk about some of the team leaders for the teams that you will actually be working on. If you are on security, your point of contact is going to be Evan. So he's going to be the one that you go to if you have questions about, how to do your job, or if there's a problem that you feel as a security volunteer you can't quite handle and you need to step it up a level. Evan's going to be the team leader, and he's going to be the person that you will call for that. If you are a DM, then your point of contact, your team leader, is going to be L, Frank Baum, or just Frank for short. So again, he's going to be that person that you go to if there's a question that you have, or you feel like, this requires a higher level of management. It's above my pay grade, basically. Then you can go to Frank. If you are a member of the floor crew, then your point of contact is Jaffo. So that's all things set up and moving equipment and all that fun stuff. That will be Jaffo. If you are a part of the registration crew, so if you're one of the lovely smiling faces that our attendees see first, then your team leader will be Whiskey Tango Foxy. If you are part of the medical crew, then your team lead will be Uranus. And if you are part of the Consent Rocks crew, then your team leader will be Iron Temple Dog. And just again, I'm going to pop those names up on the screen for you really quickly. Just a quick overview one more time of who your team leaders are. So now let's talk about the schedule. If you are watching this video on the day that we sent it, then it's Monday, the 19th of February. And we're asking that you would review your schedule as quickly as possible, and if you need changes made to it, get those into us by emailing volunteer@ropecraft.net, and get those to us as quickly as possible, preferably no later than Friday the 23rd of February. So that gives you a few days to think about your schedule. That way we have time to rearrange things if we need to. But here's the thing about requesting changes. We are asking that, if at all possible, you only request changes if it's really necessary. So for travel arrangements, or if there's plans that you absolutely can't change in the middle of the event, that sort of thing, completely, absolutely ask us to make the changes. We absolutely will. But especially if you're a core volunteer, we really need for you to be flexible and try to work the schedule that we've given you, so that we don't have to, at the last minute, rush around and try to make a new schedule for you. So unless it is absolutely necessary, we are asking that you don't make too many changes, or don't ask for too many changes to your schedule. We've tried to really make sure that everybody has plenty of time to go to classes and go to play parties and all of that stuff. So Miss Elaine worked really, really hard to make sure that that happens. Now, a lot of people come up to me during the event and they'll say, is there anything else that I can do to help? And we love that. That's absolutely wonderful. So one of the things that we're going to do this year is, at the help desk, there is going to be, in the help desk binder, there will be a sign-up sheet. So if you really want to pick up an extra shift, if there's something, a lot of times stuff comes up that we didn't plan for on the schedule. It happens. This is a fluid event. So if something comes up and we need people, that's going to be on a sheet at the help desk, and you can go and you can sign up to pick up some of those extra shifts if you would like to. And a lot of times we'll send out a message to the volunteers that say, hey, there's some shifts at the help desk if somebody wants to stop by and see what those are and see if they can pick up those extra shifts for us. Team leaders will also have access to that sheet where they can add if there's something, again, that wasn't planned for in the schedule, so that they can request extra help from volunteers. So if that is something that you feel like you really want to help do some extra stuff, that's the place to go. Another thing about the schedule to remember is that, especially if you are working as a DM or security or the help desk or the merch table, something like that, pretty much most stuff, you're going to be relieving somebody else. So we would ask that you guys be on time. Try to be a few minutes early for your shift, just a couple minutes early, just so that if there's information that they need to pass on to you, that they can, because we want the person that you're relieving to be able to go off and have some fun too. So we ask that everybody be on time, be a couple minutes early if at all possible. So the thing that I realized as I was sitting down to do this video is that I don't actually have a radio, and the next part of this is supposed to be radio etiquette. Now, at the prior to the last event, Great Answer actually did a really good radio etiquette video, so maybe he'll link that. But I just wanted to make a couple of quick points about the radio. If you're working security, if you're at the help desk, if you're on the medical or Consent Rocks crew, you're going to have radios while you are on shift. And so we're totally cool. A lot of times, we like to have fun on the radios, and, people will be joking, and that all is perfectly fine. Like, feel free to have some fun. But there may be some times when you'll hear somebody come on the radio and say that they need you to cut the chatter. So just, respect that, and, understand that that means, there's something serious going on, and we need to, just kind of cut the banter for a little while whatever's happening is happening. Another thing is, whenever you pick up the radio to talk and push the button, wait for just a split second so that you're actually connected before you start talking. That way we don't miss the first part of your message. And then along with that, make sure that you let us know by saying over or something of that nature so that we know that you're done talking. Another thing about the radios is, make sure if you're calling medical or security or Consent Rocks to a place, let us know if it's an emergency or a non-emergency. So if it's medical and somebody just needs a Band-Aid, when they don't need to go to the hospital or they don't need dire medical care, don't get a hop on the radio and, call for medical and not tell us that it's non-emergency. So you would get on the radio and say, I need medical at the help desk. It's not an emergency. Just that way they know that they don't have to just like drop everything and come running. Same thing goes for security consent rocks. But if it is an emergency, if you do need them, make sure that you say on the radio, "Hey, this is an emergency. I need somebody here right away." Um, so just make sure you differentiate between those things. When you check into ROPECRAFT and register, you'll get your badge like everybody else. But one of the other things that you will get as a volunteer is this handy dandy, awesome, bright orange ROPECRAFT bandana. And this is something for you to wear while you are on shift, so while you're working, one of your scheduled shifts, we would ask that you wear this someplace visible. Tie it around your arm. A lot of people tie it on their heads. Uh, they're big enough that you can tie them all kinds of places. So just tie it someplace really visible so that people can identify, hey, that's a volunteer. So that if they have a question, they know that you're somebody that they can ask. And it's also just a really cool keepsake. So you get to take this home with you as just another way of saying, hey, thanks, we really appreciate you volunteering. So make sure to get your bandana whenever you check in at ROPECRAFT. Next, I want to go over just a couple of things about just good customer service and just how to be a friendly, helpful volunteer. All of you are just going to be immensely helpful. I know that. I have no doubt. But just a couple of tips for you guys. Let's say somebody comes up to you and they have a question that you don't know the answer to. One thing that you can say that usually appeases and makes everybody really happy is to say, hey, I don't know the answer to that, but let me find somebody that does. Or, hey, I'm not sure about the answer to that, but I'm pretty sure that Jquing does. Let's say it's a vendor that comes up to you and they have a question and you're just like, what? I don't know. Instead of just being like, I don't know, you can just say, hey, I'm not sure about that, but I bet Jquing does, and then you can walk them to the help desk where somebody will have a radio and we can get Jquing or whoever it is that you think might know the answer to your question. But that's one thing that's really important in customer service is to, if you don't know the answer, don't just say I don't know and walk away. Say I don't know, but I would love to help you find out. Now, let's say you're not on shift. Let's say you're not working, you're on your way to a class, or you're about to go into the dungeon and somebody stops you because they knew you were a volunteer, because they saw you earlier working, and they grab you and they need some help. Instead of being like, oh, I'm not working right now, and just walking away, I'm not going to ask you to stick with them and help them and, do whatever it is that they're asking you to do because you're not on schedule right now, and I totally understand that. But what I am going to ask that you would do if you can is, again, walk them to the help desk, or at the very least point them in the direction of the help desk because somebody there is going to be able to help them. Or if you know where the person is that they're looking for is, at least point them in the right direction, or tag somebody with a radio that can get them the help that they need before going on your way to go do whatever fun thing that you are going to do, because we want you to have fun. So don't feel bad about, passing the person off to someone else. Just please do, don't just leave them standing there. So a couple of other tips. One thing that you can do to be able to answer questions, say somebody has a question about the class schedule, keep a program in your back pocket or in your bag, or whatever. Just keep a program with you. That way if somebody has a question and maybe they don't have a program on them, you can be the awesome helpful volunteer and whip out your program and answer their question for them. So that's just another way to just kind of be a friendly, helpful, awesome volunteer, is just carry a program around with you. So I think those are just some of the really big things. Again, we're not going to ask you to work when you're not on shift unless you just want to. But we just would ask that you just still be helpful if you can by passing them on to someone who can help them because they are on shift. I think that's the biggest thing about good customer service at ROPECRAFT. One of the other things that we like to provide our volunteers at ROPECRAFT is what we call a volunteer suite, and it's just a room somewhere in the hotel that will have just a place where you can go and take a break if you need to get off of the event floor because you've been, working security for 3 hours and you just need to, grab a snack and just take a break. That's what the volunteer suite is for. And we keep it stocked with some sodas and some snacks and, just the little light things like that. So feel free to take advantage of that, use it. We would ask that you don't bring, drugs or alcohol into the volunteer suite. If you are in the suite with the door closed and somebody knocks on it, make sure you let them in. All that fun stuff, or let me explain that a little bit better. The keys for the volunteer suite will be at the help desk. So what you'll do if you need to go up there is you'll just stop by the help desk, sign out the key, and go up there. So if you're up there and somebody else needs to get in and you've got the key, just make sure that you can let them into the room. During the day, we may, keep it propped open, but at nighttime we'll probably close it up and you'll need to go to the help desk to grab the key or to security to get the help desk or the volunteer suite key. Several of you have already asked about training, and this video is a little bit of training just as a general volunteer information that you need. But obviously, if you're a member of the DM team, the security team, that sort of thing, you're going to want to know a little bit more about how to do your job, right? So on Friday evening, prior to the meet and greet and everything getting going at ROPECRAFT, sometime between when registration starts and the meet and greet, there will be training sessions for you guys to attend. Several of you are working on both the DM and the security team, so we're going to, not overlap them. The times should be listed in the email with your schedule, but there will definitely be a DM training, a security training, a medical training, and a Consent Rocks review. The team is going to meet up and just kind of go over things because if you're part of the Consent Rocks crew, you've probably already gone through your training. But there will still be a meetup for you guys just to review and get together one more time before the event starts. If you are working merch, if you are working registration, if you're working the help desk, if you are a class monitor, those things you will be trained on whenever you show up for your first shift doing that thing. I think that just about covers everything that I wanted to touch on for this video. If I didn't cover something that you think I should have, or if there's just a question that you have about anything at all, please feel free to email ropecraft@volunteer.net. We are so looking forward to seeing all of you in San Antonio, and it's just a couple of weeks away, or less than a couple of weeks away. So again, thank you so much for volunteering. We are excited to have you on board and can't wait to meet or see all of you again. So until March 2nd.